another episode of On the Icebox. I'm your boy Iceberg Bricks, and my guest tonight is a very epic builder. You may know him, I'm sure of it. He builds Star Wars on top of Star Wars on top of Star Wars. I'm excited myself. I'm a Star Wars fan, but not as big as a fan as he is. And we're going to find out more about the Brick Wiz. Hey, Brick Wiz, what's going on, my man?
What's going on? Thank you for having me on, man. It's a pleasure to be here. The famous Icebox here. I'm happy and excited. So thanks for having me on, dude.
Thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate you, man. I appreciate it. And I'm definitely, I got a bunch of questions about, because myself, I only been building for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
So I look at you, I look at the others in that Star Wars arena, and I know that's where I want to be. And I'm looking at every move, and I just, trying to figure out, how to get started mocking up a Star Wars mock. Like, which one do I pick?
Yep, that's a huge thing. We'll talk about that later, but that's the beautiful thing about Star Wars is there's an endless amount of things you can do, and that's just one of the reasons why I love it so much. So
yeah, okay, good deal. All right, let's see. We got folks in the chat already. Okay, cool.
There we go.
All right. So, man, the $1 million question: how did you get into Lego, and how old were you? Now, I spared you the embarrassment because you did have a young picture on your Instagram.
Oh,
I had to do that to you,
Yes. So I mean, hey, if you would have used that, I think that picture is personally sick. I love that freaking picture. But
all right.
So in terms of me with Lego, I've been into Lego forever. Like as soon as I can remember, my earliest memories playing with like the Big Yoda and the old dropship, stuff like that. So I've loved Lego ever since I was a kid. I gotta say, my Uncle Pat was the one who got me into Lego initially. So shout out Uncle Pat if you're ever watching this.
Okay.
But yeah, Lego's been a part of my life literally forever. And then when I went to middle school, I was getting really serious with baseball. And all throughout high school, we could talk a little bit about that more too. But I dropped Lego because I was like, you know what? Oh, Lego's stupid. Lego's for kids, whatever. So between basically middle school and high school to the end of high school, when I started my channel, I had no Lego. I sold it all. I probably gave it all away. My mom, donated it or whatever. So it wasn't until my senior year of high school. I think it was the New Year's of my senior year. So what was that, 2017? So starting 2017, I was at my uncle's house. We always go to his house for a New Year's party with my family. It's super fun. And then he just randomly whipped out a set. It was some old Rebels ATDP set. It was one of the ugliest things I've ever seen. But I was so bored. I was honestly tired. And then I started building it, and just I loved it. It was so therapeutic and just so relaxing. And then like it just, I was like, wow, this is fun. Maybe I'll buy a couple more sets tomorrow. Maybe I'll go to Lego store for the first time in 6 years. So then that kind of like snowball affected pretty much up until where we are now. And I would have never thought I'd be building like my own custom stuff. At that time, I was like, ooh, sets are cool. I want to build these and display them because I'm a Lego fan. Right. But then as time went on, I was like, holy crap, there's a whole YouTube community about Lego. There's so many influencers and channels and pages and mock builders. And then that's when I started to get interested in what I'm doing now, which is all of the mock building, all of the custom creation stuff that I display on YouTube. So that's like the short summary of my Lego passion. It's been installed forever since I can remember, but it really has been rekindled in the past 2 years or so.
Oh, awesome, man! And you've been coming on strong, man. You've been showing some epic stuff, like that epic build that's behind you, man. But when you're done with that epic build, man, tell me what's your next biggest adventure. That's a big adventure back there. When that's over, what's your next big adventure?
So I get asked this all, like I'll literally start a project, and the first week I'll have people ask me, what am I doing next? And to be quite honest with you right now, I have no idea. Okay. I'm probably maybe about like 35% done with the project I'm working on right now. It's been about maybe 3 months in actual physical working on it. So I got plenty of time. If I had to choose to throw out a couple of suggestions, it's going to be Star Wars, obviously, what I'm building next, because I love Star Wars. I've never built anything else. But my next big adventure, like in terms of a mock, it's going to be big. It's going to be like that scale. I don't want to go shorter or smaller than that. I'm thinking like something well-known, Geonosis, Camino, Endor, something like that. Those are kind of all juggling in my head right now. The big thing, though, when it comes to choosing a next mock is I want to do something that's drastically different from what I built before. So my previous project, in fact, I don't know if you've seen this, but I built Kessel as my previous project.
Yeah.
And then that was a build that had lots of different colored dirt, mountains, mud, kind of acid pools. And then I switched over to Anaxes, which is my current project, and that's basically a lot of buildings, it's essentially a military fort in the Clone Wars. So again, very different, drastic things. So when I take that next mock into consideration, I do want to say, okay, so I built something with buildings, I built some with man-made structures, I built some with mud and acid pools. What can I do next that's not like that? And that's the biggest thing that I have to kind of tackle. Thankfully, Star Wars has an endless amount of planets and resource material, so it wouldn't really be hard to find something like that. But when it comes to choosing what I want to do, I take that into consideration, being I don't want to build something I just did. I want to build something different because I do, for a couple of reasons. I do want to give my audience something new, something refreshing to watch, because as you trying to build up a YouTube following, you got to keep your audience engaged. You know all about that.
Right.
So, and then the other thing is, obviously, I want to try and test out new stuff for me, because like I said, I've only been building seriously for about 2.5 years now, which is a long time, but honestly, not really. I mean, both of us know builders who have been doing lugs and other stuff like that for decades. So it's always about trying to improve myself and trying to find new techniques and just new ways to build stuff. Those are very important to me. So because you can tell, there's a lot of things that go into this process. It's a long process, but I'm looking towards something different and something that'll test my abilities as a builder for my next project.
Good deal, man. Take me through a layout, man, and like, because it was interesting. It was an interesting dialect that you just gave. Like, you got a blank canvas. Take me through from the ground up on building a table size MOC.
So it all starts with the idea, whatever I'm inspired by, because when you're building a MOC, you can do it for views, you can do it for recognition, but when it comes down to it, for me, I want to do it because I want to do it. It looks cool. So I really think to myself, what is the biggest thing that's inspiring me? What do I look at? I'm just like, holy crap, that's sick. What if I built that in Lego? So that's number one. As soon as I find what I want to build, I got to think about size. And a big thing for me is trying to accurately portray it. Now, admittedly, the MOC I'm working on is I would need a bigger table, believe it or not, to actually accurately capture what it looks like. So then it all comes down to a very important thing, which I talk about all the time in my weekly segments, is scale. Because scale is a really integral thing when it comes to making a MOC, because I'm all about accuracy. So I love scale, having everything to scale correctly. So once I find what I want to build, how I'm going to build it in terms of size and scale, then I move on to what's really iconic. So let's take Hoth, for example. What is the most iconic thing from Hoth? There's a couple of things. There's the AT-AT and there's the shield generator. Those are the two most important things. So if I were building Hoth, I want to create those two things and center what I'm building around the most iconic things. So once I kind of have an idea of where I'm building, what setting, what planet, what battle, the scale I'm building it, the size tables that I need. I actually had to order 3 new tables for this project. So that kind of sucked, but honestly, it's pretty cool now. But once I get all that stuff going, I start to think of how physically am I going to build it. So often I'll look to Flickr, which is a great source for Lego builders. I also would look towards resource material. So if it's Hoth, I'll watch Empire Strikes Back. I'll play Battlefront or something like that and record it. So that way I can take it back and post and see all the different things, all the details that I can try to include. And then really from there, it's just sort of just eyeballing it and just going with the flow. I try to map out what I want to have done by what date. So for example, if I was doing Hoth, I want to have the base done in the first 4 weeks, and I want to have the shield generator done in the next 2 weeks. So like a very rough time frame like that. Often, as I'm sure you probably know, things don't always go as planned when it comes to MOCs. So you got to improvise and adapt to survive. But that's like the general gist of building big MOCs. It's definitely no easy task. I get people asking me all the time, like, they want to build big MOCs. They don't have the money or the time, and it's a big investment, because when you build a big MOC, I talk about this too a lot, is you could build. So this table right now it's a 6x4 gray base plate MOC. So I don't know, it's like 6x4 feet, something like that. And what stinks is that you'll spend 10 hours on a specific part of a MOC. So let's say, for example, I'm building the wall right here. I'll spend 4 or 5 hours just building that. And after 4 or 5 hours, I'm like, oh man, 4 or 5 hours all in the books, this is gonna look sick. And then I put it on that platform and I look at it closely and I'm like, okay, this is looking really cool. This is great progress. But then you take 10 steps back and you realize how much crap you have to do. And it looks so small. That's 4 to 5 hours right there, and that's not even 2% of what you're trying to do.
Right.
So it's tough because when you spend so much time and just spend so much of your money, let's be honest, Lego is expensive. So when you spend so much money doing 4 to 5 hours of work in there, and then you come take a step back and you take a look at it and you're like, holy crap, that's all I got done in 5 hours. So staying motivated is one of the biggest troubles for me too. I mean, I struggle with it all the time, but sure, as I'm sure all the mock builders do. But so the process of knowing what I'm doing and planning is very intricate and just it takes a lot of time. But if you put in the time before you start working, it's gonna really help instead of you just starting and then realizing, halfway through your build, like I can't do this or I'm losing motivation. So planning out beforehand is the most important thing when it comes to building these big mocks for sure.
Well said, man. And I'll definitely take heed to it, man, because I'm just, I guess I'm almost like a free will builder. Like I build a trial and error, man. But I definitely think like to do a scale like that, I definitely need to go by those guidelines and mapping stuff out.
Yeah, it's a great starting point for sure.
So tell me, man, how would you describe your work, man?
My work, I like to go big or go home. I love smaller builds. I appreciate, the one base plate or like the, vignettes or whatever. But my thing, what I love to do, it's not necessarily my staple. There are always builders who build large scale. But what I like to do is just build large scale. I like to build scenes that people will remember. I'll never forget Chicago last year, Brick Wiz Chicago. I brought my Battle of Crait mock, and it was pretty big. It was 3x4 gray base plates, so it was larger than normal, out of the norm. But I never remember. These little kids came up and they're like freaking out because they're seeing the Battle of Crait and they're like, holy crap, Dad, look, it's the Battle of Crait in Lego, and they're freaking out. They're like 5 years old. They're having the time of their lives. So right there, that's like what I'm going for with my builds. So I want to have something that looks really cool, that's really big and also very recognizable, because I love when people just come up and say like, oh, like it's like they instantly know what it is. And that's how I know I did my job right. Because if you came up and I built Endor and then some kid came up and said like, oh, look at this Hoth battle, you did something wrong. So definitely like going for recognition isn't what I'd word it necessarily, but going for a build that's like easily recognizable and something that I think that I know people can get enjoyment out of when they come to a convention is what I'm going for. So I'd say that definitely, I don't know if it separates me. There's a lot of other builders who do, the build big mocks like, David and Jalen and Chris and all those people. But I'd say within us in that group of big mock builders, that's what we go for. We go bigger, go home, and go for something that's recognizable.
Okay, good deal, man. Good deal. Tell me about your fun that you have with Empire Lug, man.
So Empire Lug, as of the filming of this stream, is a non-recognized Lego user group. So basically, it's a bunch of guys just getting together building Lego. Empire Lug started like, I don't know, a year or so ago, maybe a couple days ago, actually, about a year ago. It's just a group like any other normal Lego user group. I know we have, lugs like Charm City Lug and Gardens Lug and all these groups, and they all have different names, but essentially it's just all about building the love of Lego. That's pretty much just what it's all about, having fun. What's definitely unique to groups like Empire Lug and Rebel Lug, which I'm sure everyone here knows, it's a group of younger adults. So we have teenagers and younger adults, whereas other normal lugs that meet geographically would have probably more an older audience, I guess is kind of that connotation. So it's cool because Empire Lug is online, so we do a lot of online branding and stuff like that. But at the root, it's just a bunch of guys, me and my friends who initially started it. We're all really close friends now. We all met through Lego in this community, which is great. But yeah, I mean, that's just it. It's just a group of guys having fun, building for the heck of it and bringing it to conventions. So it's nothing other than that, really.
Awesome, man. And that's what a lug should be,
Exactly.
Common folk with a common goal, man, and just having fun, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Doing it. Yeah, man. I was looking at part of y'all festivities, man, over the Brick Fest, man. I mean, Brick Fest, man, and that, you guys were having a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was a great time. I mean, I don't know if you have another question about conventions. We could talk more about that later. But I mean, conventions are just it's amazing. Aside from, it's not even the fact that I bring Lego. It's just I get to see my friends who I get to see maybe twice a year. Right. And then we just screw around and have fun, and we bring all of our stuff and appreciate it because we're finally getting to see stuff in person. But yeah, Brick Fair Virginia was our third display for this year. We started earlier in 2018 or later 2018. So in the year that we've been running up, we have 3 convention attendances, which is pretty cool.
Okay.
We did North Carolina, we did Virginia, and Chicago Brick World. So Virginia was our biggest display. Huge shout out to everybody if you're watching this, Empire Lug, or anybody who has supported us. But yeah, it's been a great ride. Hopefully some really big things to come for Empire Lug. So keeping our fingers crossed. Absolutely.
Awesome, man. You guys rock, man. You guys rock. Did you hear? And even in and we're going off topic, but that's okay because it's the Brick Wiz.
Exactly.
So did you hear that Virginia Brick Fair, Virginia is going to add the Star Wars category?
Oh, thank the Lord, man. I have been waiting for that because I understand there may be like licensing issues or whatever for a Star Wars award, but come on, you got city, you got architecture, you got ships. Like, why not Star Wars? So I'm thrilled. And I've been to Virginia twice now. Never had a Star Wars award. They've had Star Wars sections to display, but they never had Star Wars award. But Star Wars is a huge part of Lego and the fan community. So I'm ecstatic that they're actually finally including that. So it's a great thing.
Yeah, I saw it myself in black and white, man. It's in writing. So
there we go. Yeah, there we go.
So that's awesome news. So do you have any hobbies outside of Lego that you may bring over into your Lego MOCs?
So maybe not necessarily in terms of like the physical Lego, but what I love to do is like a side hobby is just videography, playing with cameras and film techniques. What I like to do to separate myself from a lot of other builders is I like to do these short cinematic, I guess, movies, quote unquote, whatever you want to call them. It's just whenever I have the project done, I'll do the finale update and be like, hey guys, this is what I have done. Take a look at it. But then I'll do like a 2-3 minute, like sort of like a trailer, I guess, if that makes sense. It's not stop motion, but I play around with different videography techniques, sliders, gimbals, stuff like that. So I really try to bring that level of professionalism and creativity when it comes to the videos that I produce on YouTube, which I really am always just constantly trying to improve myself with. But in terms of like hobbies bringing into Lego, I mean, other than like TV shows I watch, that would be cool, like Game of Thrones to build in Lego, or video games like Battlefield or something like that. Other than that kind of stuff, there's nothing really I'd inherently bring into Lego. It's really just Star Wars is my main focus, and hopefully when I'm older, when I got a job and I moved out, I can divert some resources to other smaller builds for my own personal gain. Stuff like that. So
all right, don't rush to grow up, man.
Everyone's saying that, so I'm enjoying my time right now.
It's over in the blink of an eye, I'm telling you. So do you find building with Lego therapeutic?
Yeah, definitely. I know for a lot of people, building Lego is like it's like a safe haven or something like that for people. To be quite honest, that's not what it is for me. Literally, I mean, the extent of it being like a mentally reviving Lego build is just if I have midterms, finals, I have one night before the final and I'm done studying, and then I'll build a Lego set and I'll just kind of relax. I'll put on a Star Wars movie or The Office in the background or something, and just relax like that. But I've never really been in like a dark place and then turned to Lego necessarily. But it's always something that if I got a lot of going on, if I got a lot of schoolwork, a lot of YouTube work, I got a lot of real life stuff coming up, and I'll just take it like an hour, step away from reality and just build a Lego set, have some fun. So that's like the extent of what it does. It's not. It's definitely therapeutic when I'm stressed out, though. That's definitely not an understatement.
Good deal. I can understand that. I can relate to that.
Yeah.
Has your love for Lego helped you persevere through any difficult situation?
That's a fantastic question. I mean, I'm blessed. I really have not had anything crazy happen in my life. I have great family, great parents, great house. So I never had anything crazy like that, but I mean, I guess it kind of be the same answer. Like if I'm stressed out with schoolwork or personal stuff, I'll just turn to Lego. But Lego's never been something for me that I'll turn to like go through something, if that makes sense. And that's not to say it wouldn't work. Like if something came up and then that I got in that mindset of I'm going down to a weird place, I need Lego. Like that would absolutely happen, but it's just never happened, fortunately. So I know a lot of friends who unfortunately don't come from great families, some issues, stuff like that, and they come to Lego as like an outlet to help themselves, just to get away from what they're dealing with. So Lego is one of the greatest tools for just boosting your emotions and just becoming mentally stronger, just because it's fun. It's just, whatever's happening in real life, you just take a step and you just build whatever and have fun. So I mean, personally, thankfully for me, I've never had to do to build Lego or turn to it to avoid something else, darker going on. But
Right.
I know it has, and I know it does that very, very well. So
good deal. Good answer. Good answer.
Yeah.
Tell me, man, what was your most difficult project? And you had quite a few big ones, man. But what was your most difficult?
Most difficult project to date has definitely got to be my custom UCS Kessel Falcon.
Okay.
I don't know if anybody has seen images of that. It was something I built alongside my Kessel MOC, which was earlier this year. Now, surprisingly, the build itself is actually centered around or modified the UCS Falcon set from Lego.
Okay.
So you would think it's not that hard. You would just think, oh, just get new colored pieces and stuff like that, which is what I thought as well. So I was like, oh, this is going to be a breeze. I'll be done with this in a week. 40 hours of build time later, I finally got it done. So the Falcon was definitely the first big build that tested my ability as a MOC builder, because there were just so many things about the Kessel Falcon, that I had to recreate well, just because I'm a perfectionist and I like it that way. But you guys, everyone here is a Lego fan. Everyone knows the set. The Falcon's huge and it's heavy. And when you have to go in and modify, for example, like the front pod on the Kessel Falcon, it's different from the original trilogy one. So when you have to go in, completely tear apart and then rebuild that, it's incredibly, incredibly difficult. And I did not know that. And honestly, if I knew how hard it would have been and how much money I'd have to spend, I might not have done it. But I'm happy I did, because it's one of the things that my, I guess, viewers or fans, which they recognize. I brought it to Virginia this year. It was a great eye catcher. I got Brick Stuff lights in there in the back for the engines. So those are flickering, which is great. Shout out to Brick Stuff for sponsoring me. But yeah, the Kessel Falcon is definitely going to be the most difficult build I've ever done. It's just I had never done vehicles. I'd never done anything like that before. So it's one thing to dive into a vehicle that's like, a couple inches or whatever to build first, but I was diving into a UCS freaking set as my first one.
So yeah, man.
So that was difficult. Might not have been the smartest decision, but that was by far the most difficult build I've ever had to done for my builds.
Okay. And I got a lot of shots of that UCS.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely, man, that thing was just amazing, man.
Like the lights make it. Like if there were no lights in there, it's still cool. But once you put in the engine lights and the cockpit lights and all that stuff, it just illuminates and comes to life. It's amazing. If I did not have those lights in there, it'd be very different. But the lights sold it. It's an instant eye catcher with public, because everyone goes, ooh, lights, let me go over there and check it out. As I'm sure you saw firsthand. So yeah, lights are, this is all, quick off topic. If anybody here is a MOC builder watching this, and if you're looking to take your game to the next level, add lights. Lights just show that you are another level just compared to other MOC builders. So lights definitely make or break a MOC for sure.
Duly noted, man. Duly noted. Tell me, how important is the Lego YouTube community to you and your builds?
If you were to ask me 2 years ago when I had no idea what it was, I'd be like, I don't care. If you're asking me today, it's one of the biggest parts of my life. I have made so many friends through this community that I hope will last my entire life. It's amazing in this day and age where you have social media and, everyone's like, oh, don't talk to people online or whatever, which you definitely shouldn't. Be safe about that. Right. But when it comes to people that I've met in the Lego community, I never thought I'd do anything with them outside of conventions. Like I thought I'd be like, oh, hey, nice to see you. Like, how are you? Very, very nice. How you been? And then just kind of build together or whatever. But heck, there's a couple of groups that I'm in and that I've just become great friends with. We're planning out non-Lego vacations and trips and stuff to hang out. And ever since I joined the community, there's not a day that goes by where I don't check my own Instagram or the community and see what's going on. So ever since I got in, man, it's been an incredible influence on me for sure. It's given me something to do, give me something to work forward to. because I'm very serious about growing myself in this community for sure.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, the amount of people I've met in this community who have been there for me, and I guess actually that's quickly going back to your has Lego ever helped you through a tough time? I don't know if you were here, but a couple months ago I ran into an issue with some guy who scammed me a lot of money. I don't know if you heard about that or you were there for that.
Yes, I did.
But for anybody watching this who doesn't know, quick 10-second summary. I had a sponsor reach out to me for my builds for this build right here. Actually, they pledged money, which I guess you can sort of blame me for not doing anything about that, but they pledged money. We made a deal, and then after they donated a lot of money, they retracted it all, blocked me, all that stuff. So that's a quick summary. But going back to that, the motivation of Lego actually kept me going through that because I was down $3,000, which, as I'm sure you could also attest to this, as a full-time student who works a part-time job, $3,000 is a lot of money.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, the Lego community saved me, quite honestly, because I put out a GoFundMe. I had my friends share it, and I was able to get the money back within like 48 hours. It was incredible.
Awesome.
But yeah, like the motivation for building and continuing from that point was definitely based on Lego. I don't know how I didn't think about this before. But like just building sets that I had when I was pissed off, when I was like, I looked at my PayPal and I'm down $3,000. I just put on my headphones, watch some Office, build some sets, or work on the mock, and
build some steam off. Yeah,
exactly. It got me through that, and it's definitely something I never wish upon anybody for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, quick sidetrack, going back. But yeah, Lego, the community in general has been amazing in terms of other communities like the gaming community or whatever that is. There's a significantly less amount of toxicity and just negativeness, I guess, in this community, which I really do love, and I think it's a really big reason why this community has been thriving and will continue to thrive, because there are so many people who are just positive. I mean, it's Lego. What's there to complain about? What's there to be negative about? It's just a toy. So yeah, the community has made remarkable impacts on my life, and it's stuff that I've learned that I will take with me. I hope to God I'll never leave this community, but if I do end up having to do that, I have learned so many different people and just ways to deal with life experiences that will just help me in the long run. So yeah, the community is fantastic. I love it.
Indeed, man. I could definitely contest to that. That's even being in Philly Brick Fest, man. I love the YouTube Lego community that I'm a part of, man. They come from all different walks of life.
Exactly.
And we're all like one melting pot right there,
Exactly.
So, and a lot of people, like you said, I would never get to meet if it wasn't for this thing called Lego.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I have one of the first people that I met from the Lego community, who I'm probably the closest of friends with in the Lego community, are Rich Boy J. I don't know if you know him, and Garrett. They collaborated on Crait about a year ago back, and those are the first people I met. But I mean, if you were to ask me when I met them, do I think I'd ever fly down to San Antonio, Texas, and help them bring their mock and just have a really good time with them? I would have said you're crazy, but I've made these friendships that have grown beyond Lego, and that's one of the greatest things about the community is you make friendships that start with Lego because everyone has the same interest. Everyone loves Star Wars or Ninjago or Lego City, and they love building mocks, and you start conversation like that. It's easy to start conversation with people who you have similar tastes with, and then once you start to know each other, it just blossoms into something that's real life and not just Lego oriented. So building these friendships that have lasted outside of Lego is phenomenal. Absolutely.
I gotta say, I like your trip that you took down to Florida to see MNR, and you did the building on a budget.
Yes, I was
awesome.
Fortunate enough to be one of the first members of MNR's building on a budget series, which is great. But yeah, so actually it worked out. I was gonna be going down there anyway because I wanted to visit Ryan as well, and also Blaine and Anthony, who are really good friends of mine that I've made, which I'm really fortunate. So I was going to make the trip down there anyway. And then it worked out. I was able to finagle a couple of free flights. So I was able to get down there and have a good time. But yeah, I mean, if you were to ask me if I'd be going down to Texas and Florida for people I met in the Lego community, I'd say you're bonkers and delirious. But that's just I guess that's just a test to what the friendships have become, and it's like the greatest thing ever. But yeah, going down to Florida, being in Ryan's building on a budget, I love vlogging, so I vlogged the whole experience, and it was just a really fun time.
Okay. So now, out of all the creations you gave birth to, right? Which one are you the most satisfied with?
Are we going off ones that are completed, or one that I'm working on right now? Or I'll answer it twice. How about that?
Yeah.
So if we're including this, I gotta say this because this is testing my ability as a mock builder. I've been fooling around a lot in Studio, which is an online design software for Lego.
Okay.
And LDD stuff like that. So if we're including this project, I definitely got to say this one because this is going to be drop dead gorgeous. I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to cut any corners when it comes to this. But going off of ones that I have done that are completed, that's a tough question. First, I think it'd have to be Crait for a couple of reasons. Number one, Crait was the reason why I actually met a lot of people, i.e. Jay and Garrett. So if I wasn't building Crait, I would have never discovered their channel. They would have never discovered mine, and that friendship might be completely different. It might still have happened, might happen later, but that's a big reason. The second reason is that was my first true big mock. I had built like a Scarif mock, which is just like a beach. It's very simple. It's just water and sand. So it's nothing crazily intricate. But Crait was something that was obviously very popular at the time. And then it was something that really tested my ability, being the first true mock that I made. So that's definitely second reason. And third reason why I think Crait is my favorite one that I've completed so far is because I think it put me on the map, if that makes sense. And I'll elaborate a little bit. Okay. When I went to Chicago was my first convention. I was this is before Empire Lug, and I made any friends. I basically went to Chicago knowing absolutely nobody, which was a huge risk. But I was fortunate enough. The Rebel Lug guys invited me out to display with them because they knew I had a big project. I wanted somewhere to put it, so they're like, "Hey, come display with us," which is super cool. So huge thank you to those guys. But bringing that mock to Chicago, a lot of fantastic things came from that. I got to be on the Brick interview, which has like almost 500,000 views, which is a huge reason why my channel has a great following right now. And when as somebody who's new to the community at the time, and you come into a convention rolling up with rolly carts of a big mock, and then it's set up, and people are like, "Oh, who's this guy? Like what's going on here?" So I definitely got to know a lot of people in the community through that. It definitely put me on the map because people were like, "Oh, who built this? Oh, the Brick Wiz. Okay, let me search that up on Instagram and YouTube and stuff like that." So, but the Battle of Crait mock that I made is probably my favorite, excluding this one when it's done, which hopefully will be soon. But Crait put me on the map. It got me started with this community on a really good foot and got me to know a lot of people who I remain friends with to this day. So
awesome, man. Yeah, well said, man. Well said. Now, when you describe that, it sounded like you had a lot of interactions over time in your Lego career. Name the most memorable interaction you had, regarding your Lego hobby.
So this is actually that's a good question. So I have a really good example. So growing up, and I think we can all sort of agree with this. When you grow up and you grow up with platforms like YouTube and you see all these big YouTubers, you're like, okay, I want to be a YouTuber. Like, that's super cool. I want to wake up at 2 p.m. and play video games and go to sleep at 3 a.m. So the craziest interaction I had was, and this is actually going to get really serious for a second. So when I was streaming, I think it was streaming this mock that I was right here, and I had someone random come into my chat saying they were gonna harm themselves. I didn't know whether to take it seriously or not because it's the internet. Half the people you see are not serious and trying to troll you. But I was like, you know what? Let's explore this. It can't hurt to explore. What's the worst thing? He's trolling, and something like that. So I was like, man, like you're all good. Like, send me a message on Instagram after the stream. Let's talk. And it turns out it was actually real. He was a 15-year-old kid from Germany who had been watching my videos for a couple of months, and his parents had gone through a really bad divorce. And his mom took her life, and he was really just in a terrible place. Yeah. And we just went back and forth for hours and hours, and I'm just trying to make this kid see that there's so much in life, there's so much stuff to go through, and so much to live for. So, and thankfully I've kept in touch, and I know he's all good now and in a much better place. But he told me that my videos were like an outlet for him where he could just sort of not, again, going back to the idea of not worrying about real world stuff and going back to just watching a video for the fun of it, seeing what the Brick Wiz has done on his Anaxes mock or seeing what he's live streaming. So I really never truly understood the amount of, I hate using this term, but influence that people like me can have. I never thought of it at all up until that point, and then I was like, holy crap, I helped a kid like this. So by far the craziest interaction, and honestly the most humbling too, because I'd never thought, when I first started my channel, I was like, I'm gonna make a haul video and show what I got from the Lego store, and I would never think that I'd be doing stuff as serious as that. So that was an absolutely amazing but awful experience, if that makes sense. But
it does. It kind of binds people, like traumatic event.
Yeah,
give somebody an outlet.
Absolutely. Like I going back to Lego is just one of those things that just helps. It's just a great thing. Like there's no bad thing about it, and I never understood that until that point. I'm happy it happened though, because I'm able to, be a little more proud and take a little more pride in what I'm doing. So it's a great thing, honestly.
Good deal, man. Good deal. Well deserved, man. You got that 21 salute, man. You answered real well, man. You did.
Thank you.
Hey, folks, if you're listening, you're tuning in. This is On the Icebox. My guest tonight is the dynamic Brick Wiz. We are going to dive in the mind of Brick Wiz, show a slideshow, and we're going to the fantasy world of Star Wars.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Here we go. All right, here we go. Let me see if I can bring this up real quick.
Ooh, there we go.
Awesome. You see that?
Ooh, that's, man, I got to try StreamYard. Damn. Hang out so long to do this.
You know what? I'm kind of sold on this, man. I'm gonna go ahead and get the subscription.
Dude, honestly, I mean, this is top tier quality,
man. They really did their homework, man. So I like the layout. I do, and it makes editing like real easy. So
exactly.
All right, here we go. All right, so I look on your I think it's your Instagram. No, it's not your Instagram, but this is
might have been the Flickr. I think I sent you.
So this is the first page on your Flickr. This is the first photo on your Flickr. Tell us about this scene right here.
So this is a scene from Rogue One. This is one of my first MOCs, so it's not necessarily the one I'm most proud of, but I built this probably about a year and a half ago. It's the scene on Edu, which is in the beginning of Rogue One. Anyone who's seen the movie, you'll probably recognize the scene. It's when Krennic and his Death Troopers land and approach Galen Erso's house to try and take him and his family. So Rogue One is, and will probably remain to this day, one of my favorite, my favorite Disney Star Wars movie. I was immediately inspired when I saw it. I liked how Rogue One showed the griminess of the rebellion, because let's be honest, in the original trilogy with the rebellion, it's all like fluff, and the rebellion's always good and Empire's always bad, but and the Empire is bad. I don't want to say I'm not advocating for that.
I wanted to ask you about that, like being a MOC person, which side, because you got to pick a side. Which side? I mean, and you tell a story, like you got to tell a story every time. Do you stay true to the story, or do you kind of add your own story because you side in one?
Well, that's the beauty of a MOC. It's my own creation. So when you want to build something, you want to have it accurate, or at least that's what I like to have it. But then I like to add my own sort of things. Like, for example, my current build, there's not actually too much material about what exactly happened. So I'm taking a lot of creative liberties with that. So with my own creations, it's definitely important to emphasize the my, because it is yours. You want to make it individual. Right. But going back to Rogue One is a great movie because it shows the rebellion as something that's not just all good the entire time. Couple of questionable scenes in the movie, and that Cassian, not to spoil it in case anyone hasn't seen it, but there's a couple of scenes that are pretty not gruesome, but they're shocking to a lot of people who haven't seen Star Wars. So that was a large inspiration between this. So let's be honest, I mean, the Empire, they're bad morally, they're awful, but they got the coolest stuff, dude. Come on.
Yeah, they do.
They got these really awesome looking Death Troopers going ahead to Scarif again. Like the trooper variation is just amazing. Now this right here is another smaller build that I made probably about the same time. Okay. This was a mini MOC. It was just of Scarif, and I just want to have Chirrut Imwe, who was one of the coolest characters in Rogue One. Don, I don't know if anyone has seen his other movies, but he's a blind Force believer. I don't think he has the Force, but he believes in the Force, so he's just the ultimate BA. So he just tears apart these stormtroopers and shore troopers right here. Again, same movie, Rogue One. This takes part during the end, the end scenes of the movie, I guess. So this was just a really cool scene I wanted to build. Again, Rogue One. I love the movie. I wanted to build it. I was inspired. That's all it is.
Okay, good deal, man. And it's a lot of I love the rock work. I mean the water work that you did up in here,
Yep.
and even like the texture on the sand and everything up here. You got, like you say, to you it's a small build, but you pack so much detail in these small builds.
Yeah, I mean that water there's a couple of ways different to do water techniques. You can dump those one by one studs, or you can stack them. I chose to stack them because I think it looks a little bit more clean. But man, that probably took maybe 15 hours just to stack them, because those stacks are, I'm trying to remember. I think it was maybe 3 studs high for
Oh,
each stack. So basically, take each stud, multiply by 3, and then stack it. So that was definitely gruesome going through that, but I think it came out great. Now these are actually 2 different mocks, because the other one was smaller. This one that we're on the screen right now is the larger one of my Scarif mock that has a downed U-wing
okay.
to the right and stuff like that. But yeah, a Scarif is just a beautiful planet. It's like a luxury resort and spa. It's like the freaking Bora Bora in Star Wars. So
Yeah.
it's super dope to build. I love the scenery.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, this is a great shot of the overhead mock. This mock was 3x3 gray base plates, I think.
Okay.
Um, the AT is not my design. This is actually someone by the name of Raskolnikov who made it. He's a very famous mock builder. People use his builds all the time, but I converted it to an AT to make it more accurate. But
Mhm.
yeah, I mean the goal with this was to capture. Okay, so going back to how we planned mocks. Like I said, one of the most important things is iconicness. And when I think of Scarif, I think of 2 different things. I think of the crashed U-wing, and I think of the AT Walker. And then I center the mock around that. You can see the U-wing is in the middle of the mock. It's got all the action going around it. And then you have the AT Walker in the back. And it's not the main thing, but it's still big enough to capture your eye and draw your attention to it. So
Okay.
making sure everything kind of was correctly placed was a huge part of that. But this was actually my first real technical build, and I love it. I wish I still had it to display, but it's a lot of great memories with that. Absolutely.
Yeah, it feels like you're there, man, and it's like you say, you definitely captured that tropical feeling, like that
Yeah.
majestic feeling of being on an island somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a goal.
All right, what
All
we
right.
got here?
So now moving on to Crait. This was the build I was talking about before. So
Okay.
my Battle of Crait, which was it's in The Last Jedi, which is a very controversial movie, but the Battle of Crait was something I wanted to build, and I wanted to do something different because the other builders who at the time who were doing YouTube videos were doing it from the movie. So I chose to do it from the video game. So that's why you'll see Rey fighting First Order troopers or other, characters like Lando, which wouldn't be there obviously because they wouldn't be there, but in the game they are. So
Okay.
this is a very close up of one of the trenches. This was a sort of last line of defense for the resistance. They're getting overrun, by just the incredible mass of the army of the First Order. So this is a very, very close up. I did the salt techniques. Shout out to Rich Boy J for actually basically teaching me how to do this technique right here with the tile and the plates.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is a very, very close up of that mock. Absolutely.
Okay. Good deal, man. I love, like you said, that salt technique, man. You get the trenches in there. That looks awesome. Like
Yeah.
here you got the curved slope pieces here.
Yeah, we got this. That's supposed to be like a down ski speeder just shot down by one of the walkers, and I guess it's kind of similar to the Scarif mock with the down U-wing. Now we have a down ski speeder. I wanted to add something, kind of unique and individual to the mock, so I tried to put it right there. And then you can see to the right, the bottom right, you have characters who normally wouldn't be on Crait, like younger Luke Skywalker, or Yoda, or Lando, or Darth Vader. So again,
Right.
that's just Battlefront 2. It's just the video game, so that's why they're there. But yeah, it's just another part of the mock that I built.
So he was kind of ahead of the curve a little bit with this build. He was ahead of you decided to do it your own way, not the traditional movie way.
Yeah, that was a big thing when I came to deciding about this, because there were other large. I mean, at the time, I probably only had like 1K or 2K subs comparatively to what I have now. So at the time, there was people like Solid Brick Studios, Merch Boy J, who all had fairly large followings who were building the Battle of Crait. And when the smaller channel does that, they're going to be like, "Oh, you're just copying for clout or whatever." So I had to try to make it my own. So going to the game was one of those ways I could successfully do that. Absolutely. So I think I made the right decision doing that uniqueness, sort of adding its own individualistic style for sure to the mock to separate it from the others.
Right, and like you're showing the actual, like the destruction of the machines, and I think or the ships here, and
Yeah,
I think that definitely pulls you away. So you got a battle scene down here in the trenches.
Yeah, so this is actually a really good example of minifigure placement, which is a huge, very important part of a mock, especially in a battle mock. So here I have just a small cave that I built. It is technically a trench that runs throughout the entire of Crait. I can't capture that. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough room. So I wanted to capture it very on a small scale. So on the right, I have a flame trooper, first order flame trooper, who is, for lack of a better phrase, flaming resistance trooper. So you can see the guys like kind of going back, like he's shook and trying to get away. And then we have the other resistance guys behind him trying to, hold off the first order attacking. But it was just, again, one of the smaller scenes that kind of, when you put in the big picture, when you put it all together, adds to something really cool. So that was another really cool, unique scene that I added.
Okay. That's awesome. And you said like minifigure placement in the mocks are very important, and that's very true, because you're actually using them to tell your story, correct?
Exactly. Because if you just put all these guys standing up in a corner, what's going on? You don't know what's going on. Right. But I mean, I'm sure you probably have the overview pick of this, so I'll talk about that more with minifigure placement. Yeah. But here is just a little. So the YouTube 2x4 tiles some my uncle got at Brick Fair in New Jersey for me. So again, shout out to my Uncle Pat. And then I found a really old Lego 1x2 brick that you can see on the right, so I wanted to include that too. Yeah. And then I forget her name, the Woman of NASA set. I had that, and I wanted to have like I always think of like wartime photographers, people who are like documenting war and stuff like that. So I just threw her in there. Just why not? That'd be cool.
Nice touch. Yeah.
Exactly.
Pretty cool. You're right about it. Yeah.
So here's a picture of the Crait turret, which was designed partially by me and partially by my friend Bailey. So that was one of the most iconic things from Crait was the turret. So I wanted to make sure that it was accurately scaled and made well. That was a difficult challenge to build because it's got a lot of different curves, which, I mean, you could probably see it's not just straight edge stuff, squares and rectangles. It's half circles, ovals, stuff like that. So it was difficult to build, but it came out nice. And there are two of them, one on each sides, and then in between them you got a whole bunch of resistance troopers with their blasters, getting ready to hold off the first order.
Yeah, I remember when you was constructing this, you was giving blow by blow on it. I remember, and this thing, and it was funny because I was like, man, like, I know I seen that thing before, because I think you just showed it alone. You didn't show it, but it was part, and it didn't dawn on me until you put it on the tape. I said, I feels like such a fool.
Nice. Very nice.
But it was awesome, man. This is spot on now.
Yeah, so here is like this is probably like the left half of the mock. So you can see this is basically I actually made a mistake. I should have taken out the brick separators. I just left in there by accident. But this is basically just the entire trench line. You could see there's probably about maybe 24 resistance troopers there, ready to fend off. And this is another example of minifigure placement, telling your story. If I had these guys just hands down in the trench, you wouldn't know what the heck they're doing. But now that you see them on the pedestals, looking out in the barren wasteland, you know what they're doing, what they're trying to do. And then there's a better shot of a little bit of the wall and then the rock mountain right there. So
yeah. I see that wall, man. That wall.
The wall, yeah.
You put the wall up, bro.
Yeah. So this is a great overall shot. So the wall is probably the second most difficult thing I ever had to build. I decided early that I wanted to use the 2x2x3 slopes, I think they are, in dark tan, because I thought dark tan accurately captured that. So I wanted to use that from the get-go. I just didn't know how to build it. So it basically came down to a lot of trial and error when it came to figuring out the technic design for the back and all that stuff. It's actually a lot simpler than you would think. So basically, if you look below, if you're looking at the wall on the very far left and right of the tan wall, you'll see that there below it is, you'll see below it there is a little bit of mountain that it rests on. That basically just acts as a support. So it's really nothing intricate in terms of mounting it, because you could take the wall off and then both mountains separate and you could just kind of move them and transport them. So it's really not that difficult. But when it came to actually building the wall, not putting it on, that was where the challenge was, because again, it's like a unique shape. It's not a straight edge. You kind of have to make it like a half circle. So building it was tough. I used a lot of 1x6 and 1x8 Technic bricks, using pins to interlock those Technic bricks and then build these slopes on top of it. It was difficult. It probably took me about 3 weeks to get a good final product that I could continue to go with. What's really unfortunate that some of my older viewers who have been with me for a while will know I was streaming this build and I dropped that wall. Half the thing split open. I was super pissed off. Man. I didn't curse though. I'm proud of myself for not cursing. But yeah, that thing came apart. But it was honestly because it was after once I knew how to put it together, so it wasn't all that bad. But yeah, that wall was a work of itself. But yeah, this is one of my favorite picks of any mock I've done because going back to the minifigure placement, when I said we could talk about this more with the overhead pick, right. When you put these minifigures on, you clearly know what's going on here. Because all the First Order troopers are going this way and all the Resistance troopers are aimed that way. So you know there's some sort of conflict going on. Then you can see the TIE fighter I have that's flying behind the ski speeder, which you could deduce it just shot down. But yeah, this mock is the mock that put me on the map for a lot of people in this community. So I'm very, very happy with the way this came out. Absolutely.
And I see you definitely. I mean, you're artist of the craft, man. It looks great, bro.
Thank you, dude. I appreciate that.
All right, so now you got your 2K subscriber giveaway, man. Does at this point does your YouTube and your Instagram career, like does it seem surreal at this point?
I wouldn't go as far as surreal yet. I think it would be surreal if I was able to have YouTube be like a part-time or even full-time job, if that would make sense. But I mean, as a kid, I grew up watching streamers and all these people, and I'm like, oh, that'd be so cool to be an influencer. Everyone wants to be an influencer nowadays. And when I got into Lego and started doing YouTube, I would have never thought like, I could influence people with my Lego builds. I can inspire. Like, right. That's crazy. But then going back to the scenario we talked about, that was like a click in my head where I was like, holy crap! Like, I actually impact people's lives, and that's when I started to take it seriously. I'm like, okay, I gotta brushing up, do my hair, brush my teeth a little more. But yeah, it definitely is a crazy experience. Knowing that people actively like look for my content when I post a video every Saturday for the build series. They're waiting. Like I'll post it and then 30 seconds later it'll have 50 views and I'm like, what do you guys you guys are just waiting all day for my video or something? Like it's crazy. It's in one word, I don't think it's surreal just yet, but it's humbling, incredibly humbling. I've grown up, my dad always tells me to stay humble, do the stuff that you want to do, let your actions and let your successes speak for themselves. And it's definitely very true, having worked pretty hard and pretty long on projects and then having them be so well received by everyone in the community. But I mean we're almost at 8,000 subscribers, which is a number beyond me. Near 8,000 people have at one point liked my content, which is crazy. Right. If you want to think about it in like college lecture room or lecture hall, standards, that's like 25 lecture halls full of people that watch your videos. Right. So yeah, it's incredibly, it's a great experience knowing that people want to watch what I'm doing, because it's not easy. I love the process, but it's not easy because, you got student stuff to do, you got a job, and you come home. All I want to do is relax and watch a movie and eat some ice cream. But then I'm like, wait, no, I gotta pump out a video for tomorrow. Right. So the fans, I don't like that term, but that's what they call themselves. They are a huge motivation for me with continuing with YouTube. And in the grand scheme of things, generally, I'm still pretty young on the platform. I've been on here for about 2.5 years, maybe. Yeah. And the following that I've gotten right now, I've had people really give me some strong words of encouragement. So hopefully nothing but more growth and great stuff going on from here on out.
And good words to live by, man. Your dad didn't tell you wrong, man. Yeah. If you stay true to you and do what you love, man, you'll flourish, man. And you're definitely doing that. Good words to live by.
Appreciate that, dude. Appreciate that.
So you had 1 year. You celebrated 1 year on YouTube.
Yeah, that was.
You getting butterflies in your stomach?
Well, I think 1 year on YouTube. So I think I hit 1,000 subs in, I think it was like 11 months. So it was slightly before my 1 year. I think I hit, I'm trying to think. I think I hit 1K on January 8th of 2018.
Okay.
So at that time, I was like, oh, you're on YouTube. That's kind of cool. So I was like, let's make a video about it. Just say, hey, everyone, thanks for your support, whatever.
Right.
And I really didn't think of anything of it. I was just like, you know what, for the select few people who have watched my videos, I'll put out a video saying thank you. And
Right.
that's kind of just what I thought about that video in particular. So nothing crazy behind that, honestly.
Good deal, man. Good deal. All right. So you're telling us a story with the minifigures again, man. Tell me the story.
So right here, this is a very close-up picture of my Kessel extraction MOC. This is Kessel from Solo: A Star Wars Story for everyone who hasn't or has seen it. So this particular part right here is a mine. You can see there's a lot of workers who I tried to make them look like slaves because that's what they were on the planet. They were just it was forced labor. So you can see they got pickaxes and backpacks and rucksacks. You can see the minifigure in the middle, but out of focus, has a rucksack, but then like a 1x1 brick, and that's supposed to resemble rocks or whatever that he just mined. So that's the kind of story that's going on right here. Just a bunch of forced labor, people who are being held against their will to do the Empire's dirty work and stuff like that. So it's a very close-up image of that Kessel MOC, yeah. And then here's another great shot. What I like about this scene is there's definitely a lot more to tell. So there's basically two enemies, if you will, in this photo. So you have the Kessel troopers, who are the guys in yellow up front. You can see one has a baton, and the other one has a blaster aimed at the Wookiees. And then you can see more discreetly, there are also these guys who have like the red translucent plate in their helmet.
Yeah.
I don't know if those are too easily visible, but those are actually other guards as well. And then you can see all the workers coming in and sort of starting the day on another day in Slave Kessel or whatever. But yeah, this is a great shot. I love the shot because it does tell that story of what's going on, the labor, and just why this planet is sort of really unique and cool in Star Wars. Absolutely.
Good story, man. Good story, man. He's just got the Wookiee down on the field.
Yeah. Yeah. Here is a close-up image of the control center, which is just what I would, every institution or company or whatever it is has a command and control center, a headquarters. So this is just that. A couple of astromech droids doing their duties, a couple of cameras. Nothing too much crazy going on here, but it was still really cool seeing the build. So.
Oh yeah, definitely, man. Good use of those pieces, man. Especially those joints right there.
Yeah, this is actually my uncle helped out a lot with this design because this is a part I was getting very tired of building at this point. I was just exhausted, so he actually helped out a lot with this method right there. So that was cool. And then this is something he helped out with too. So this is two different scenes. On the left, we have a jail cell kind of thing for inmates who are doing bad and want solitary confinement or whatever. Okay. On the right, then we have like some ventilation shafts because you're deep in a mine. You need ventilation, you need air conditioning. So that's that. You might notice something a little bit out of whack. On the left, we have two Dementors. Those are Harry Potter Dementors for anyone who's seen Harry Potter, but it's also more importantly something from The Office. Because I don't know, are you a fan of The Office?
Yes.
Prison Mike.
Yeah.
So when his rant about the Dementors in prison and how they fed you gruel, like I wanted to go for that. So yeah, I had an inmate prison Mike minifigure who was running around and then Dementors were chasing. That was just like a funny part.
Yeah. You put those little hidden eggs in there.
Yeah, and our boy Classic Plastic got a good kick out of that too. So
yeah, you gotta watch The Office, man. Gotta watch.
Yeah. Let's see. So this, I think, is from my Instagram. So this is a work in progress. This is when the build wasn't even near done, but this is one of the iconic things about Kessel that I wanted to center the build around was the acid pools, and they were basically like these giant puffs of steam and acid green colors that I wanted to really recreate. So I used a whole bunch of wedges. So I basically put a plate, tile, and then on the level above tile put wedges. So it looks like it was like a smooth sort of shoreline, or I guess I don't know. It's not like a beach, but you know what I'm trying to say. So it's like a shoreline for that. And then I had a whole bunch of different machines and like pipes and stuff like that going around and about it. So that was really cool. That was a really fun part to design because it was really just cool to make, honestly.
Yeah, it is. You got a lot of you got the technology in there with the regular terrain and stuff like that. So it's just I think that's an awesome concept.
Yeah. Here's also another work in progress. This is just a larger acid pool, as I called them. In the end, I did have the middle island was going to have some more big machines and pipes connecting to the outside. The gray that is around the acid pool is just a walkway because I wanted to add, a walkway for the people to get in and out of. But yeah, that's just, again, this is a great example of this is probably like 4 or 5 hours of work. But then once you take it out into the grand scheme of things, this is only one base plate. It's not even done. So it's very overwhelming. But again, it just overall was a great process, really fun process to build that.
A lot of good detail on that one, man. So you can make your whole MOC, man.
Yeah.
Those pieces together, man, and you got a lot of ebb and flow here, man.
Yeah, this is a great picture. So this is what the acid pool would look like in the end. You could see there's a lot of green coming out of it because it was acid. And then on the machines, this isn't a technique I invented. I saw this used by somebody, but they used like the popcorn pieces and stacked them up on top of each other, and that resembles smoke, which I thought was really cool and creative. So yeah, I had those. I had pipes connecting all the different machines and poles and stuff like that. And you can see on the top right, you have 2 of the Kessel guards just doing patrols and stuff like that. And then you have a snippet of the Kessel Falcon, which was the main showcase of that MOC. But yeah, this is an image of what it looked like at North Carolina. So this is what it was as a final product.
All right, so now we saw the layout, and now take me through the structure of the meat and potatoes, the Kessel itself.
So Falcon, specifically the Falcon, this is up until this point in this picture, this is all the set. This is just the normal following step-by-step instructions.
Okay.
What became difficult was, like I said, designing that front portion because I had to basically take off all the Technic that was there and the plates and all that stuff and redesign that. So the Falcon, when I went into building Kessel, was the main event. That was what I wanted people to see. That was what I wanted to be the main event, what drew the most eyes. So that was the most important thing to me. And then as time went on, I started to fool around with different techniques for getting the white accents, replacing them with wedges and stuff like that. And you can see right here, I have the colors are accurate, but then again, that front portion is not done. And that's where I had a lot of trouble going through. But I was adding the blue and white to make it, very recognizable to anybody who had seen Solo: A Star Wars Story. But it was a very long design process because basically I had to look at the instructions, find whatever the instructions had me doing, and then go in my bin of 4,000 or 5,000 white parts, find that part, bring it out, and then change it in the instructions. So very long, arduous process. Absolutely. So it was tough, very tough. And then here are just more shots of the Falcon. I mean, this thing, I love seeing it. I still have it intact. I'll probably never destroy it because it just took so much time.
I was going to ask you that.
No way. I would never voluntarily destroy this thing. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, this is just a work. I didn't do the interior because people weren't going to see it. And honestly, I would rather save a couple $100 and just save the money and do something else with it. So I decided to reallocate that stuff. But yeah, here are just some more work in progress images of the Falcon, changing up all the whites and stuff like that. So it was again a long process.
Dude, man.
Yeah. It was tough. And what sucks about white is that it attracts dust and dirt very easily. Yes, so I had to keep that entire thing under essentially a blanket while I wasn't showcasing it. So So yeah, that's the only difficult thing. But I mean, you can see it's pretty self-explanatory what's going on. It's just difficult, just time consuming. So
swapping out the pieces for the colors and stuff like that, which is it's done before, man. But it's like this right here is unique because I don't think no one ever attempted it, not on this scale anyway.
Yeah, I think there was one guy. His name is Loose Bricks on Instagram. He had built one. And he was actually, I was like, holy crap, I want to do that. Okay. So he did build one before me. So on the record, I got to say that. But he helped me a lot with the process. Huge shout out to Quinlan. But yeah, you can see here at the top, I started to design a long stretch of a panel that would inevitably make the front portion of it. Right. So I expanded, the Technic to have it come out more, and I sort of started fooling around with this long strip of a panel and seeing how that would inevitably come across and complete that front pod. But yeah, this is probably the most important and toughest part with designing this thing.
So this part is basically your creative ability at this point. At this point, you're doing it like off the top.
Yeah, at this point, I mean, up until then, I had basically just swapped out certain parts and added newer parts just to make it look cool, which is creative in a sense. But when it came to that long panel right there, that was something I just kind of came up with just to, I don't know. It was just, I was just like, I need to get this done. How do I get this done? And I just started building and started to see where it came out of. So, here is a shot of the Kessel cockpit. Now, up until then, so Lego released a Tantive 4. I think it was in April during Star Wars Celebration, so they actually came out with a white piece. But up until this point where I created the Kessel Falcon, they hadn't made a white piece like this. So I had to get it custom decaled. My friend Matt Brickdale Studios recommended his friend Andy Molman to specifically create a decal for my cockpit, which was awesome.
Yeah.
That was amazing. I had a lot of people ask me, where'd you get that? I'm like, it's custom. Can't get anywhere else. Can't get anywhere else. One of one. But yeah, the cockpit was great. It was just another added sort of unique thing about it.
Now you can't destroy it. Now
exactly. Now there's no way I could destroy it now with a one of one. Absolutely no way.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And then going back to lights. I mean, lights you can see in the two pictures right in front of you. They add just something else, man. It's just it just takes you out of Lego. It's no longer just a toy. It's something a little bit more intricate. So adding lights in the cockpit and on the side panels is just crazy. Again, Shadow Brick stuff for sponsoring the build and getting the kit for me. It's great. Lights are awesome. No one needs to know that lights are awesome.
Awesome. Yeah, man.
And then right here, I mean, hey, bring this picture, and that kind of just sums up the deal right here. So it's what is unique about my Kessel Falcon, at least up until this point. I think I'm the only one to have it in this scale and with lights.
With lights.
At least in public on Instagram. I'm sure people have done it, just probably don't share it. But yeah, what was great about this is that I used the Brick Stuff kit for the Kessel One Falcon, and then those engine lights actually pulsated. So it wasn't just a constant light at the same level; it was popping. That was a crazy detail that I added, which I fell in love with. I mean, I could stare at this picture all day. I mean, hey, I'll be honest. So I would have like Kessel, still standing behind me on the table. I'd randomly it'd be like midnight. I'd sign off for the night. I just plug in my USB to my power brick and watch the Kessel Falcon light for like 3 minutes because it's just it's sick. Exactly, it's a night light. I just go to sleep with the Falcon pulsating against my neck. Yeah, but I mean,
need a fireplace. You got a Kessel Falcon.
Exactly. Who needs a fireplace when you got lights for Lego, guys? Come on now. But yeah, I mean, this picture says it all. Lights are amazing. It adds another level of detail, which is unmatched, quite honestly. So
it is. Yeah, it brings it out, man. That's the length of it, man.
Yep. And that is the done product. It came out really nice. I'm happy with how it came out for sure. Yeah. For sure.
And there's a Ryan sighting.
Yeah, this is from North Carolina. This is actually the first Empire Lug display we had. This is the entire Kessel MOC done.
Okay.
And the Falcon is the main attraction. It's the only eye-popping color there. It's very drastically different from the other ones. And of course, we have Ryan in the back there, posing with my Kessel MOC because he's the greatest MOC builder ever alive. But yeah, that was the project came together nice. I was happy I was able to bring it to a convention because I had to quickly tear it down to get started on this because I needed parts. So I'm happy people were able to see it at least in some capacity and were able to enjoy it. Absolutely.
Awesome. Yeah, man. Good work, man. You won one.
It did. I was shocked because a good friend of mine, Daniel, he made the docking bay from episode 4, and I thought that would win most iconic. I mean, Kessel's cool. I think I did a great job, but the docking bay is iconic from Star Wars.
Right.
Somehow I won it. I'm not complaining by any means. I was very shocked and very, very honored. I think my buddy was Lee Brick Studios. He built a Chick-fil-A. I don't know if you saw Chick-fil-A at Charm City Layouts this year at Brick Fair. Yeah. He built the Chick-fil-A. He got staff favor for that at North Carolina, which was great. But yeah, I mean, I won an award, which is great. It's always cool to win an award, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was happy. I was definitely happy about that.
Good deal, my man. Red Lug.
Yeah, this was from Chicago the first year. I know I'm not a member of Rebel Lug. I was just graciously invited to display with them. So huge shout to all the Rebel Lug guys for honestly getting me into the community because I really had never met people before. But yeah, huge shout out to everyone at Rebel Lug who did help me sort of make my way in this community. And then also huge shout out to Empire Look for some really cool stuff coming up very soon. So
good deal, man. Good deal. A lot of friends, man.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
You got to meet these guys.
Yes, that was the famous Beyond the Brick guys. I watched their videos a lot up until that point, and I kept saying to myself, I'm like, oh, I really hope I get an interview. Really hope I get an interview. It happened, you know. Shout out to John Hanlon, who I believe does the editing, because at the time I was 19 years old, and I think my voice cracked because I was nervous about 7 times. And he was able to edit most of them out. So much love, John, for that, for not embarrassing me like that. But yeah, I mean, this was a huge for me. I didn't think it would get nearly enough traction or anything like that. But you know, Beyond the Brick was great about that. Joshua and John are very cool. I'm happy to say I've done some videos for Beyond the Brick in the past couple of months too. So it's a great team over there doing some great work. You know, so. Much love to those guys.
Yeah.
The vlogging, love vlogging.
Yeah, man, there's that guy.
I mean, Chicago was actually the first time I met Ryan, who was in the thumbnail. I knew who he was, and I was like, oh, he's M&R Productions. I didn't think we would be friends or anything, but we did. He was actually really cool. He wanted to go do a couple of things around the convention just to hang out, and then I sparked a pretty good friendship. So Ryan was one of the first people that I met in the community who became friends with. So that was awesome. And this is also my first time vlogging, which was an experience, but also extremely fun to go back and watch, you know, the memories on YouTube. It's just a great thing.
Oh yeah, man. And like you said, that's something that you always have. Like, and here you made another friend.
Yeah, my man Rich Boy Jay, right there, the iconic duo going on there. But yeah, Jalen's a huge help in my builds. Great friend. Can't say enough great things about him. But again, Chicago 2018 was my time to make friends and get my foothold in the door for this community. And I met a lot of great people who I think I'm gonna have friendships with for a very long time. So can't be more than thankful for that.
Indeed, my man. Indeed. And then your friends destroyed your MOC, man. So let me.
So that was it. That was in Texas. This is their Crait actually. So this is when I flew.
That's their Crait. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh, I would not let them destroy my MOC, please. Yeah, this is when I flew down to Texas to help them out and just to have a good time with them and hang out. But yeah, I helped bring their Crait. If you think my Crait's big, you should have seen this thing was 3 times as long.
Okay.
It was huge.
Videos really don't do the justice of
not at all. Not at all. Yeah, I was happy enough to go down there and help him out. I stayed at Rich Boy Jay's house, and we actually kind of got some last minute work done on the MOC. It's gigantic. It's one of the biggest things I've ever seen. But this is a thumbnail from a vlog. I thought, how can I make my vlog seem really interesting and entertaining? Which it did happen. The Crait MOC was destroyed. They pushed it off. Yeah. Because who wants to lug that entire thing home for 3 hours?
Think about that. Yeah.
That was another great time, another great example of meeting people in the community who you become friends with outside Lego. So it's great.
Good deal, man. See, my man, you push. I think you did you do a video? Somebody? No, I think this was like on your Instagram. I think
about what
the Bad Batch, and
yes,
and I think it was. And I bought this. You know, looking at your channel, and I bought this because you know the artwork itself was just awesome, man. And I had to get these 4 guys, man, because I love their story anyway. But once they finally came out with it, I learned through you, and I actually like these guys, man.
So this is from one of my Building Anaxes and Lego series sponsors. This is Minifigs for You. This is David Hall's company. He sponsored my builds, so he gave me all 4 of these guys for free, essentially, to use in the project. These are by far the most beautifully detailed minifigures I own. And I mean, they look like a unit, but they look different, and that's something that's really hard to capture. So David did a phenomenal job with that. But yeah, I mean, this was kind of what my MOC was centered around. I knew the Clone Wars season was coming back later on next year, and the Bad Batch is going to be a big arc in that series, and I wanted to build something with the Bad Batch in it. So that's kind of where it all started. So I got those minifigs from David. I did a review on those. I'm now using them in my MOC. So those are beautiful figures. Beautiful figures.
Indeed, man. I second that, man. I own a Bad Batch myself.
As far as I'm aware now, I'm pretty sure they're sold out, but I would assume he'd make some more. I don't know why he wouldn't.
Yeah, he should.
So here is a picture from my Anaxes MOC. This this is like kind of a mock in and of itself, but it's gonna go in that, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah.
So I just took pictures just to make it look cool. But yeah, this is just a landing pad. The gunship is designed by my man David Buchholz. It might have been seen on Brick Vault's channel. David.
Yeah. I gotta buy that. I like
Yeah.
that design of that gunship.
Yeah, so I reached out to David, who not David Hall. This is a different David.
Right.
So I reached out to David Buchholz. And I was like, hey, like I really love to use your gunship in my builds, and he had actually told me he'd been watching my channel already. So that was great. We instantly clicked, and then he was able to send me those files for free to use. So I use those gunships, and that thing is it's gorgeous. My motto when it comes, not motto, but my mindset when it comes to building vehicles is I'm not gonna design my own if someone has made one that is amazing. Like there's no point. Like I fell in love with this gunship model, and there's no point for me to make my own because it's not gonna. There's no way it's gonna look better than what I already picked in my favorites. So I use that in my mock. I also use his walker. But yeah, this is just a small landing pad. That's just a very, very teeny tiny portion of the overall mock I got going on. So,
got you, man. Yeah, man. I definitely love this mock-up of the gunship, man. Because I got to add this to my collection, my Star Wars collection.
And then the lights. I mean, we keep talking about lights on this stream. I mean,
man, you hitting them lights. Those points.
Yeah.
A big deal, man. They bring out the most, man.
The lights just make it amazing. I don't need to say anything else about it. Just look at that picture.
I like how you use the Lego tracks to actually kind of amplify that.
For the tower.
Yeah, that tower back there.
Yeah, that's a great technique I've seen all the time, and I don't have those pieces are expensive. I don't have too many of them.
Yeah.
And I wanted to fool around and see what it looked like, but I think it came out really cool. So absolutely.
All right. I got to see this at Brick Fair, man, and this thing was awesome, man. Like I said, it's not a large layout on this right here, but you have so much detail and so there's several different stories going on here in this layout.
Yeah, so this was a mock I made for Virginia. So I usually bring my large displays with me to conventions, but I just don't have mine currently done. So I wanted to build something else, and I was like, hey, I have a lot of clones from my project, so how could I use those in a different way? So I built something that combined basically like a small river and like castle ruins. It's the clones facing off against the rebel insurgency or something like that. But yeah, this was just a fun build. It was really cool to take pictures of it too, so I love it.
Yeah, man. Yeah, this thing, you got all of the rock technique in there, and even like the stress in the actual the steps and the stone. That's well thought out, man.
Yeah, I mean, but going back to minifigure placement, you can see there's a whole bunch of different mini scenes going on here. On the left, we have a rebellion guy shooting a clone, and then on the right we have the same thing. But then in the middle, on the top of the stairs, we have Anakin force pushing a guy. So it's just like small things like that add. It just makes it fun to see, as opposed to them just standing normally with a gun like this. It's different. Some different to see.
Right.
And then again, same exact concept we just talked about, minifigure placement. You clearly know who won this battle right here. And then there's some more shots of, the mountain, or not the mountain, but the small hill rock work and the castle modified bricks and stuff like that. But yeah, overall, this was a fun build. I had a lot of fun experimenting with the different techniques that I really wasn't too familiar with at the time.
Right.
And using my troopers, because I have all these troopers ready for my Anaxes mock, but I can't really use them until it's done. So I wanted to.
You gotta use them.
I wanted to repurpose them, and this is a great way for me. So I love this build. This is fun.
Indeed, man. And you didn't stick to how a certain build is just stick to a certain piece, man. You definitely use a variety of Lego pieces.
Yeah, actually, just a great thing to do when you're building is just literally get a bin of random parts and just see how you can use it. That's one of the best ways to experiment with new stuff, aside from just using, the same 4 or 5 bricks. Just get a bin of just loose pieces and pull out ones that are kind of cool and see where it fits. That's essentially what I did with this entire thing. So it was awesome. It was fun.
Yeah. Here's another view of that. Like I said, I put all these in there just to show the actual techniques that you've been able to complete in this. So it's awesome, man. It's this thing.
This is fun.
That thing was
That was a fun build.
All right, so let's get to your state of the art build that you got going.
The big mama.
The big bang. Let's go to big bada boom.
So building Anaxes in Lego is my current series going on right now. It's a weekly series every Saturday at noon. Mm-hmm. So Anaxes is generally not a well-known planet, so I'll kind of explain a little bit. So Anaxes is basically like a military fort for the Clone Wars. It's like a forward operating base where they're staging, different battle groups and stuff like that. So there's no particular battle, which is different from what I used to build, because I used to build, Kessel, which was a fight. I used to build the battle of Crait, which is a fight. But in Anaxes, there's no fight going on. So, going back to the whole thing about iconicness and capturing an iconic look in a MOC and centering it around that, what I found really cool about this MOC is that in the middle there's a road, and it has a whole bunch of vehicles on it. It has walkers, gunships, lots of troops. Mm-hmm. So that's what's kind of going to be the main focus, is going to be that main road. And my MOC is going to have a whole bunch of guys, a whole bunch of troopers, and walkers and stuff like that. But Anaxes is going well. I'm loving the build. It's going to be the most challenging build to date. And here is a great example of that. I had to design a tower that looked realistic, and that was extremely difficult. Thankfully, I had the help of a couple of really close friends, Jack and Lee, who helped me design this.
Right.
But it was great. This is a rendering option studio, which is a design software for Lego, and it allows you basically just to render images like to a crisp, really clear, focused image. And this is one of the towers. I actually have that my camera right there, so that's kind of what it looks. It's a little messy back there, but it's right there. So I've been physically building it, designing it first and then building it later. So Anaxes has been a very big challenge, but it's been the most motivating build I've done, so I'm happy with it.
All right, so we have the whole layout here. You're able to double up on the towers, like you said.
Yep. And then, so that's that main road that we're talking about. Now, that's not how they're going to be oriented. This is actually, I filmed a video talking about my clone army, so that's kind of why they're oriented like that. Mm-hmm. But basically, imagine half of those minifigures along that entire road. That's kind of what it's going to look like, and that's going to be a huge eye-catcher for people who are going to be walking in and seeing this thing. So that's that. You can see there's plenty of work to be done. There's still a lot of stuff to be done, but making good progress so far, and I'm really happy with it. So
let's get we're looking at like the outside of the wall here, and now you have these plants. Tell us about the technique of the plants, and then tell us about the technique of the terrain that you chose to go with.
So the terrain is actually pretty simple. It's just a river, and then again I use the wedge plates to give it some more natural, realistic feels. So that way it looks like a legitimate river. But the terrain's kind of simple, honestly. It's something that I've done before, so it kind of was just second nature. The plant trees, it's something very interesting about the planet of Anaxes. There are no normal trees with tree leaves. They're different, like plant tree leaves, and it's really hard to come up with. So myself and Lee, my friend Lee, we spent a lot of time trying to work on a design that worked. And this is actually not a final design. I still have to go in and rework some stuff, but basically, the idea is to have the flex tubes, like the flexible Lego tubes, inside these, so they can kind of sway back and forth or put them on an angle, something like that. But yeah, the trees are really unique to Anaxes, and it's something I wanted to definitely get done well. So that's kind of that. And then I just have a small little patrol of clone troopers just doing their job and sort of walking around and patrolling the base.
Good deal, man. I like that you use the the angle plates to capture that terrain on the outside of the wall, and mixed it up with the water tiles a bit.
Yeah, that it looked great. I do like that.
All right.
So this is a little bit of a messy picture, but if you can kind of take away all the non-Lego stuff in the back, like the Pab cups and all that stuff,
right?
Basically, as tall as, if you see the brim of my cap that's kind of hanging down right there, the wall in the mountain is going to be that high. That's going to go all up against that back wall. So where you see the corner walls on either side right now, that's where the fort's going to end.
Okay.
And then behind that is going to be that giant wall. So that's kind of what this shot right here is portraying. It's going to showing the viewer kind of what my goal is and where it's going to go. So and the scale and the size. So
okay. So even past the walls, the MOC still goes, man. Wow.
Absolutely.
Awesome, man. Good deal, my man. That was a good show, man. Good show, my
Absolutely, man. That was fun. I love talking about Lego, dude.
man. I hear you, man. So let me ask you one more question for you. I let you off the icebox, good sir.
Go for it. Go for it.
So 20 years from now, you officially like a middle age. So you're not an old man yet, but you're middle age. You be middle age-ish a little bit. You still be a young guy, but you made a career out of YouTube and Lego. And that 12-year-old kid comes to you and asks you, hey, I want to learn how to mock. Can you teach me something? What would you tell him?
I'd tell him, first of all, absolutely. I'd love to work with him and help him build. But I also like to be frank with people and like to be very upfront. So if, when I'm 20 years from now, I'm hoping my skills have, substantially increased by then.
Mm-hmm.
But then if I have a kid come up and be like, hey, I want to do this, how do I do it? I'll be like, you got to start with all this stuff. You got to, it takes a long time. It's a long process. But most importantly, the single most important piece of advice I give to anybody, whether you're a 12-year-old asking me or a 40-year-old asking me, I'd say you got to have a passion for it. That's honestly just what it is. Because there's only so much that you can do without a natural just enthusiasm about something, especially when it comes to Lego. So if you want to build these big MOCs, you got to have a passion for it. And I know a lot of people who have a passion for Lego, but not big MOCs. They build smaller ones, which is fine. Smaller builds are fantastic. But people like myself and like other big MOC builders, you really got to have love for it, and you got to love the process. It sounds very cliche, but I love the process of planning and staying up late to design stuff and making videos and sharing it with an audience. Like I love each and every single aspect of that and each and every single step I'm doing along that process. So I tell the kid, you gotta pick what you want to build that you love and have a love and passion for what you're gonna do, and he'll be just fine and he'll learn. Because when you have a passion for something, you're gonna automatically want to learn more about it, right? It only makes sense. If you have a passion for Lego, you're gonna want to look at Lego videos and see how to build better. If you have passion for sports, track, baseball, you're gonna want to improve yourself, go to the gym more, work out more, or go to the batting cages more. So it all starts with that passion. If you have true passion, you're gonna want to improve yourself, and you're gonna love each and every single aspect of it.
Well said, my man. Well said.
There we go.
What somebody asked, what technique will you use for that mountain?
So that's a good question. So the mountain on Anaxes is very different. So usually mountains use slopes, right? There's just normal slopes that go up into a very high, level. But the thing with the Anaxes mountain is actually laser cut. It looks like it's laser cut. So if you picture like a mountain, picture, I don't know, Mount Everest, just as this typical, pointy top mountain.
Mm-hmm.
Cut it down the middle, and that clean slide, that clean side, is what the Anaxes mountain is. Okay. It's not rocky. It's not too rocky. There's some rocks, but it's not messy. So what I'm gonna end up doing is basically just stacking dark bluish gray bricks, utilizing tile and plates to kind of get some decent curvature, and then very minimal slopes to capture that Anaxes mountain, because it's very different. It's not rough terrain slopes leading up to a peak of a mountain. It's a clean. It's like you take it's like the top of a granite table. It's very smooth, very clean. That's kind of what it's gonna be like. I don't think I have an image with me right now, but I do have a rough sense of what I'm gonna do. It's gonna be different, but it's not gonna be too terrible, because it's literally just gonna be stacking bricks with slight variation to give it a nice clean look. So that's how I'm going at it now. That could change in a month. I have no idea, but that's my goal.
Man, good deal. All right, folks, if you're tuning in, rewind it. It's not short at all. So you'll be very, very, very happy that you did. My guest tonight is the Brick Wiz. He shared his Star Wars Galaxy with us. And so definitely go back, man, and take a look at it, man. He's the young guy just getting started, and he has gone so far that he hasn't even touched the surface of his talent yet, and he still has further to go. But he's wowing everybody in the way. So with that, I bid you peace, love, and always Lego. I'll catch you next time.